What did you make of the announcement?
Thanks for
How
having me.
quickly do you think... How quickly does this money get spent? Germany's talking about 500 billion. How quickly do you think that money comes?
Well, of course, we all know that what the main future coalition parties, the Socialists and the Conservatives, have agreed yesterday needs to go through the parliament. So we need a two-thirds majority. I think they have a rash plan on going through this next week. Then the next step will be the capability list. So very clearly we see a paradigm shift in Germany. The past decades have been more or less ruled by the principle of design to budget. Now we're designing our armed forces, our defense, to capabilities. That's what we need to work out. And then I would say we can be very quickly on bringing this up.
How quickly? OK, so we're designing for capability now. Clearly, there is a need for significant amounts of kit for the armed forces if they are going to be a credible deterrent. In terms of how long that is going to take, there is a need now to do that, but it takes a while to get German defence companies spun up, to get the training done, to get the factories built. We talked about this last time. Is that process accelerating now, and how quickly is the rate of change developing?
Well, I would see a kind of spiral approach. I mean, looking at Hensoldt, as I told you last time, we have invested 1 billion recently. We took responsibility. So the commitment, whatever it takes, is very rewarding for us. And so with what we have done, building a new plant in Oberkochen, building a logistical center in Leiching, with all of that, I think we scaled a bit above the current demand in anticipation of a 3 to 3.5% spending. So we have like 50% additional capacity that we can bring immediately into this game. And in that regards, we will take, of course, the next step on investment as the orders turn in. Coming back again on this spiral, I think we have a couple of programs where we go into framework contracts. I think here very quickly, based on the budget availability now, we can order these additional, looking at the 20 Eurofighters. We have a program called Pegasus where we produce 3, but we have options of additional 3, maybe 6 aircraft. So I think those orders can come in very quickly. And there's a new portion, as there will be a mix of I would say, classical, conventional, which is tanks, aircrafts, and ships. There will be also a portion of innovative things. I mean, going into space, not relying anymore on the US, innovation with regards to AI, building data networks. I think also here we're well prepared, and we have to work those capabilities out.
Oliver, is there? I'm just trying to get a sense of how much of this money, European and German money, will stay in Europe and how much of it might go elsewhere. In the short term, will there be a need to pay Americans for arms?
Well, I think, first of all, we see a very strong alignment between what Germany says, releasing the debt brake now for the defense budget, which I think is a very strong commitment, not putting a ceiling. Then we have EU with a rearm plan of Ursula von der Leyen, and I've been to Brussels on Monday, and what I hear is definitely there's a lot of buying Europe, and of course also the German plans are to reinforce the economy, buying in Germany. But on the short to midterm, very clearly, also operationally, we do depend on the US. So, I mean, also Germany has heavily invested under the first extraordinary budget into US technologies. But I think here we will have a strong call, and we are working with the US players, we will have a strong call of sustaining those capabilities through German and European partners.
OK. Will you be thinking about adding other product lines, Oliver? Because your focus is around electronics and things related to defence in that area. When Ursula von der Leyen was talking yesterday about ammunition, drones, vehicles, how does this change your business?
Well, I think I'm a big fan of strengthening strengths in that regard. I think also with our need now to deliver at scale, we will remain focused on sensors. Of course, we broaden the sensor landscape. Here we are open, also looking at M&As and a couple of topics. But I think the more important thing is going to smart and connected sensors. So being more software, more data-centric. That's what our strategy North Star is about. And I think that is where we will invest and where we will put our focus as we go forward. Because that's the innovative part of now spending budgets, as we will never cope with a spiral of a war economy, bringing platforms and so on. I think it's really about smart arming. And here I think Hensoldt will come into place, and that's not about entering additional branches.
Oliver, good morning. Lizzie here. I'm going to be optimistic here and ask you, however far away it may seem now, if we do get peace in Ukraine, if there is a truce, how do you expect that would affect European defence spending? Do you still think that this commitment to an era of rearmament would be there? And how would that affect your business?
No, I mean, everything what we see at the moment is very sustainable. I think the budgets that are under consideration is a plan for the next decade to rearm Europe, and I think in Germany it's the same. I mean, looking at the Hensoldt business, our exposure is in a single low-digit percentage to Ukraine. And again, a peace in Ukraine, cease of weapons in Ukraine, will not erase the Russian threat. So that means clearly Europe has to continue on that path. And it would be a great risk if we stop those investments just for the sake of the ceasefire in Ukraine.
Oliver, the stock came into the beginning of this year at 35. We're now trading at 66. We've got a volatility interruption this morning. The stock has absolutely soared. Are you going to sell stock? Should you sell stock at this point to fund the enhancements that you need to make to the business? Very briefly.
Well, no, I think it's also premature to really look. As said, I think this all has to go through Parliament first. I think we're well prepared. As I've said, we have invested, we took the... So there's no need for quick capex and so on. So in this regards, we do our math now based on the decisions of the German Parliament. And then as we also discussed with the analysts, we will revisit our plans, our ambition, our guidance, I think in the second half of the year.
We'll look forward to that.